That tradition was started by Hall of Famer Dale Jarrett. And so the team has made their...
If I could have your attention here in the Media Center, we are going to go ahead and start our post-race media availability for the Brantley Gilbert Big Machine Brickyard 400. And we're joined by today's third-place finisher, Ryan Newman, driver of the number 31 Velveeta Shells and Cheese Chevrolet for Richard Childress Racing. Ryan, it was a crazy race out there. Please walk through it from your perspective.
Well, we just took advantage of the track position when we could. And it paid off, but not to the extent that we wanted it to. Kasey had a little better car, got through the gearbox a little bit better than us on the restart, about 3 or 4 there before the end. And then obviously you saw did the same thing on the last restart. So proud of our team. Big turnaround from last weekend, finishing 27th outright to 3rd this weekend. So proud of the effort with the Velveeta Shells and Cheese Chevrolet, and still got some work to do, no doubt. We saw lots of cars get crashed in front of us. But, you got to have those days, too, I guess, to make you feel good.
Okay, we're also joined by today's runner-up, Brad Keselowski, driver of the number 2 Miller Lite Ford for Team Penske. And, Brad, a crazy race out there from start to finish. Please walk through the finish from your perspective, please.
Oh, God. I don't know. I need to watch all 6 hours of film. There's a lot going on there. Couple of restarts with some wrecks, and I can only see a real small window of view, quite literally, of what was going on. But it seemed to me like the restarts were so tricky today because of the aerodynamics on the cars, and you get side by side, and just the way things are. You either slow down a bunch to not wreck and give up a bunch of spots, or you put it down in there and hope it sticks, and if it doesn't, you got a big disaster on your hands. And so, every restart, each and every driver has to make those decisions, and sometimes it works and a lot of times it doesn't. And I think that's what we saw today on a lot of the restarts. But for us, Kasey and I swapped it back and forth 3 or 4 times. The lead there on those restarts, and it seemed like whoever was second would get the lead, and makes me wish I would have got one more restart. Or the one where I was clear would have stayed green, but that's not the way it was, and we just have to take our result and move on. But really close. We weren't the fastest car today, but our team did a hell of a job executing. I wish I could have executed a little bit better to bring home the win. I'm not sure what that would have took, but all in all, good to have a top finish at this track. I think our best finish coming into this race here was 9th, 3 or 4 times, and kind of check this one off as at least getting a top finish, maybe not a win, but a top 3, top 2 finish. So it's nice to check that off, and hopefully we can come back here next year and improve one more spot. I was thinking as I was walking over here about watching a race here with Kasey a few years ago where he was probably going to win it and a restart at the end, and he got passed in the same way that we did here today. And I was thinking about that and thinking that, I guess if we run up front and do what we did today, then we'll get a victory like Kasey did today. So happy and proud to have a team that's capable of running up front, and when not capable of running up front, executing to get me up front and put me in position like they did today.
Okay, let's go ahead and open the floor up for questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll get a wireless microphone to you. We'll start with Lee, then go to Bob, then to Dustin.
Lee Spencer, Motorsport.com. First of all, can you gentlemen describe what the conditions were out there, what your visibility was? And second for Brad, at the beginning of the race, you weren't crazy about your race car. Certainly losing the 18 and 78 had to help, but is there anything that you learned in the closing stages that you guys can bring back next year?
Was that for Ryan? Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, I was just ridiculously hot inside my race car. I don't know what was going on, but my bottom was cooking, and that just made my whole body hot and miserable. So they couldn't get enough water to me under those red flags, but that's pretty much it. Just miserably hot. What's that? Oh, there was no issue with seeing. No.
Let's go to.
It was actually worse.
I didn't
it was
have
actually
any
worse when the sun was setting in 3 and 4. You couldn't see the wall in turn 3 when the sun was setting.
Yeah, it was worse at 7:30 than it was at 8:30. So.
Okay.
Yeah, Lee, we just weren't dialed in, but Paul and my team made it better almost every pit stop and put us in position to maybe not be the best car, but to be a top 5 to fit the 10th place car, and then caught some breaks there with the yellows and strategy to take it a little bit further than that. So that was certainly awful nice to see. Thanks, Lee.
Let's go to Bob, then to Dustin, then to Matthew.
Bob Hocker, ESPN. Brad, Kasey thought you had jumped the restart there, the one where you took the lead. Can you talk about kind of what you saw and what you did there? And then also, do you have any feeling that they should have thrown the caution before you guys hit the overtime line on that track?
Yeah, I haven't seen any replays of the last yellow to have any kind of articulate answer that I think would be fair to give. But as far as the first one, yeah, we were side by side, and I was getting kind of pushed from behind, and I think I was probably a nose ahead at the second line for sure. But I'm not sure when he went or when he didn't go. It's so difficult to judge that, and I have a lot of respect for maybe not admiration, but I feel bad for those that have to judge it because it's the epitome of a strike ball call, and it's probably even harder to see. So that's probably one of the issues with the double foul restarts, especially on the front row. But that's the way it is.
Let's go to Dustin, then to Matthew, then in the back to Nick.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports, to your right. Brad, to your right.
There's that big light on.
I'm sorry. Can you explain the lane choice for the last restart? It was as much because of the speedy dry, and typically we don't see cars that go on the speedy dry get such a good jump. So was there something that didn't go well with your car? Or
no, I felt like I hit it pretty well. Just Kasey, it stuck. I mean, he drove through the oil dry, and I mean, he didn't just drive through it; he drove it in there, and it stuck. So, lots of credit to him for getting it to stick. And it was impressive. I didn't feel like I could do that if I was on the bottom lane. So maybe I could have. I don't know. You never know till you're in that spot.
Go next to Matthew, then to Caleb.
Matt Corson with the RacingExperts.com. For Brad, does his second place run provide more momentum or frustration for your team?
Oh, shoot, I don't know. I just got out of a car that was 130 degrees for 6 hours. I'm not even sure where I'm sitting right now, Ryan.
Send him an email on Tuesday. He'll get back to you.
That's a really deep question. Second sucks, but, there's 38 other spots worse than that. So I guess it's a glass half full, glass half empty question. But, it's got its ups and its downs.
Let's go to Caleb.
Yeah, both of you. Watching Kasey get out, and he was worn out, and like he'd been in a 15-round fight. Have either of you competed in a race that has been as worrying as this one was, which was supposed to be a 400-miler?
Yeah, I think the Daytona 500 a few years ago when Montoya took out the jet dryer was one of those marathons, kind of like today. So, yeah, it's happened before, but this is really hot today. I think it was really hot for all of us, miserable. The red flags, you just sit in an oven. I mean, as soon as you shut the car off, it just gets hot inside there, and there's no way for any NASCAR official or any fan to understand what we go through when we're sitting out there like that.
Caleb Whistler, Speedway Digest. With all the red flags and the attrition of this race, how did the complexion of this race change throughout the event from the start to the finish?
Is that for me?
I don't know. It's just a lot of attrition, right? So you end up racing 20 cars in the end versus 40. Track position is always key, but, it's easier to pass 18 of them than it is 38. So, it changes your strategy, but in the end, you really just wanted to be out front. So we stayed out with Kasey and took the track position, which, worked out for us.
Nick Bromberg, Yahoo Sports. Brad, I know this feels like an hour ago, and maybe actually was, but going 3 wide into turn 3 with Kasey and Jimmy there, what was your thought process being stuck on the outside, and did you have any idea that you were going to get through there unscathed?
Yeah, it was just a tin cup moment. I didn't want to lose by laying up. I thought if we all wrecked, I could go home and feel good about that. But if I laid up and they all drove on and I finished second, I would have been mad about that forever. So, you know, obviously it didn't work out perfectly, but it was darn near got away with it and kept us in position there at the end to fight Kasey.
I don't know if you could see or not, but the 48 had a big oil leak.
Did he?
Oh yeah, when he was smoking all the way down the back straightaway. When he stuck it in there, it looked like he was already on fire before he spun out.
Oh, all right. Well, I don't feel.
Just so you know.
All right.
I wanted to follow up on that. Did you ever think you could go 3 wide here?
No, and you still can't. Yeah.
Jeffrey.
Tin Cup didn't think he could hit it over the water, but he still tried, right?
Ryan, Jeffrey Miller, Athlon Sports. Where does this rank in terms of kind of absurdity in the races compared to 2008 with the tires here?
I wouldn't call it absurdity. I think it was just a crazy race. And 2008 wasn't a race. When we had the tire problem, that was a mess. And you know, I think what we saw today was some crazy strategy, some crazy restarts, and not really that bad a racing. I've seen worse racing here by far, as far as not being able to pass. So you know, a guy could get up underneath somebody and shake them loose and move them out of the way, whereas in the past you'd just lose your whole race car. So you know, I don't think that it was ideal, but you know, it was definitely crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. Absurd is maybe not the right word, but I don't know if I would call it ideal either. Maybe there's a different word. Where's Nate Ryan when you need him? But it certainly wasn't what has become the norm for this race. And that's not necessarily a bad thing because I don't think the norm was what we all were looking for. But I still think there's a lot of work we can do to you know, make a race that has a good balance between high attrition and also having key moments that we all love to see. And this race had, you know, some key moments that I think we'll probably play back for the next, you know, 5 or 10 years. But then it also had a lot of attrition and a lot of moments that did kind of look a little off key. So, you know, that's like Ryan said, every race is never the same. That's just why you go to them. You might see a phenomenal race one year and a not so phenomenal race the next, and that's part of it, is the unpredictability, and that's part of what I think we all love about racing. And so, you know, we'll see what we have next year. We come back. I doubt we see this race.
This is one for both of you guys. One of the things that made this race as long as it was the red flags. I was kind of wondering, what are some of the feelings and thoughts that go through you guys' mind when you're sitting there in the car after a red flag, especially when you had the early red flag for rain, and then you had the last couple of red flags there at the end. I mean, you guys are up front close into winning this. I mean, are there any nerves going through your mind at that point, or is there anything that you just keeping calm and talking to your crew, making a decision what to do there?
I was too hot to take a good nap, so it was kind of tough just sitting there. I mean, really just miserable. Seriously, just miserable inside the race car.
It was just hot. I don't know what word there is to say. It's had to be 130, 140 inside the cars for, I don't know if it was the full 6 hours, but I think we were in them for a full 4 hours at least. And
yeah, it was hot.
You know, they'd go sit in the sauna for 4 hours, and you can probably relate. But you know, I'm not complaining about that. That's part of being a race car driver nowadays, but that's the story of what it was.
Well, gentlemen, thanks for the
Thank
show
you.
you put on today. Good luck next week in Pocono. If I could have your attention in the media center, we're going to go ahead and continue on with our post-race media availability for the 24th annual Big Machine Brantley Gilbert Brickyard 400 here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And we're joined by crew chief Keith Rodden of the winning car, the number 5 Farmers Insurance Chevrolet. Keith, this 5 team has been through a lot, really persevered through a lot of struggle, and today you really had to outlast your competition to get the victory lane. How sweet of a victory is this for you as a crew chief and for your team?
Well, I think it's probably one of the sweetest races you can win. Obviously, Indianapolis is a huge racetrack, ton of history here. Every time you turn in, you know, and get to the museum, you're like, oh man, there's just so cool to be here and be able to experience it. And obviously, it's a huge, huge win for us. It's not just about the 5 team. I mean, it's a huge win for everyone at Hendrick Motorsports. I'm incredibly proud of all the men and women there, whether it's chassis shop, engine shop, each of the team shops. Everyone's working together closer than they ever have. And, you know, it's all about coming together and making it where we all run first through fourth every week. And we all know that's idealistic and it might not always happen, but that's our goal. And, you know, today was a big day. We always talk about how much bad luck we have, really as a company, but definitely on the 5-car. Sometimes you make your own luck. Sometimes things happen that are completely out of your control. And today was one of those things where we made a decision to alter our pit strategy a little bit, do opposite the leaders. And when it was our time to pit, they all wrecked off 4. And you know, thankfully everyone's okay. But that led to us being able to, you know, leave pit road with 4 fresh tires and enough fuel. And when everyone pitted in front of us, you know, take the lead and be able to control the series of the restarts that started happening. So really good day for everybody. Super proud of everybody. And this is the largest media center I've ever been in.
It's pretty big. Let's go ahead and open the floor for questions. We're going to start with Lee, and then we'll go to Jordan.
Lee Spencer, Motorsport.com. Killer, you've been with Kasey for a long time, and this has been a really rough stretch for him. Not that he needs vindication, but what is this victory? You know, what kind of a moral victory is this for Kasey in addition to picking up, you know, the trophy?
Well, I think it's a huge moral victory for him and everyone on our team. You know, he does an incredible job, and I don't think he gets near the credit that he deserves. You know, I feel like every race we actually run pretty good lap times at some point in the race, and we never can get anybody to pay any attention to us. We just don't have the exposure. We're not high enough. We don't qualify good enough, or something happens where, you know, we get a flat tire or whatever, get caught by a caution. Everything seems to always happen, and I feel like that when you start letting that all pile on, it just builds and builds and builds. And I think today, you know, we caught a break, but at the same time, he had to defend everyone else that was left in the race and have really good restarts 3 times in a row, and ultimately, you know, restarted second and won the race. So I think that says a lot to his talent and his ability, and I was really glad that that happened. So, you know, the other stuff you'll have to ask him, but honestly, I feel like he comes to the track prepared every week. First practice here on Saturday morning, we were the fastest car we weren't the fastest car on the long run, but we were the fastest car taking off in race trim, and we ran some really, really good laps, and we were definitely a top 5 car right off the truck in race trim. The 11, I think, tested here, so they showed up in qualifying trim. So, like, when you look at the pylon, the 11 was first, we were second, and Kenseth was third, but our car had a lot of speed, and, you know, I think that was really good, and it was, you know, that gives everybody on the whole team a little bit of pep in their step, and we got too loose in qualifying, and then everybody knows the story here. It's really tough to pass, and we passed up to about 12th, and then we just rode, and it was harder we kept getting tires and then having to restart, and then it seemed like we kept restarting on the outside, and it was a little bit of a detriment to us, you know, in the race. And so other than that, I don't really know. I think it's going to be a big momentum boost for everyone on our team. I think they get to see all their hard work realized. You know, obviously Daytona, we were very fast and went to the back 3 times and went straight, went straight back to the front. And that was like a little bit, but we didn't finish the deal, right? And today we finished the deal, so it's really special.
We'll go to Jordan, then to Bob, then to Dick.
Jordan Bianchi, SB Nation. Keith, you probably have heard the speculation about Kasey, the 5 team. I'm wondering if you had those discussions with Kasey, with Rick, with any of the personnel on the team about what might happen to the team, who your driver might be for next year?
None at all. I don't worry about any of that. All I worry about is our race team, keeping all the guys focused and ready, frankly, for an opportunity like this to present itself, right? Because you can't take 1 minute off. I mean, you can't take 1 second off. You can't lose focus at all. Through our career, there's always been a lot of speculation. For me, working at Team Hendrick, it's been very stable. It's really nice. But when you're not winning races, not getting the job done, I think you have your own answer. So I don't really worry about it. All I worry about is trying to keep the team guys focused and motivated each week and have it where they show up and ready to do their jobs. And I'm telling you, our road crew works so hard. Everybody knows about the 16.5-hour day yesterday, and they just killed it. I mean, they did an incredible job. They all have great attitudes, And our pit crew is a really, really good pit crew. They're super strong, and I can't wait to start running up front more and more and more, and let those guys show off their ability as well.
Like to welcome now to the stage Rick Hendrick, the team-winning owner today, and today was Mr. Hendrick's 10th Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series win here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, which is a series high. He has 5 wins with Jeff Gordon, 4 with Jimmy Johnson, and now 1 with Kasey Kahne. Mr. Hendrick, how sweet of a victory was this for you?
Well, anytime you can win here, it's special. This place is so special. It's been a crazy day. So happy for Keith and Kasey and Farmers. Really proud of them. Kasey really gutted it out on those last couple of restarts. So just really happy for the organization, happy for those guys.
Okay, we'll continue on. We'll go with Bob and then to Dick.
Bob Pockers, ESPN. I'll ask Rick, what does this win do for Kasey's future?
Puts him in the chase in the playoffs, and you know, we're excited about that. I hope this turns the corner. The team's had a lot of bad luck. You know, Pocono's a good race for Kasey and Keith, so we'll go up there and try to, you know, do it again.
The team you were in that pit at 2:30. The race took off. All the things that happened. Have you ever been in an 8-hour race like that at that distance and all the turns and twists?
Probably not of this magnitude. We had a race at Daytona a few years ago that kind of started and stopped and restarted later, but there's lots of twists, and you know, like I said, we just had to try to figure out a way to do something different and try to end up in front, and that's what we did. We definitely turned the luck around a little bit, and then we still had to win the race, and Kasey did that, so he did a great job.
Go up here to this gentleman up front.
Keith, this is a question for Keith. Rob Peters of the Indianapolis Star. The race really seemed to come into your hands really a lot there towards the end, but the elements definitely changed a lot. There was the rain in the beginning, and then it started off really, really hot, and then the rain happened, and then it kind of cooled down a little bit. I don't know. I was only out there for a little bit, but it felt like it was a lot cooler. But what did that do to the car? Did that help Kasey out a little bit more, or did that force you guys to change your strategy a little bit?
I don't really think it changed the car a lot. I think the car was actually pretty similar today. One thing that did keep happening, it seemed like every time we would pit and put on sticker tires, the caution would come out. So it's like you had like a little mini heat cycle on the tires, and when you just run stickers here for our car this weekend, we were freer. So it's kind of hard because you don't know how to adjust, and you're staying out for track position. So really, to me, the heat cycles on the tires over and over through some of those runs kind of gave us a little bit of a bad idea on what the car was doing. But otherwise, just getting the track position and getting up front, I mean, you're just so much faster, and that was probably the best thing that helped our car.
Caleb?
Caleb Whistler, Speedway Digest. Rick, could you just talk about and describe your emotions and reaction over the last, say, 20 laps of that race with Kahne leading?
You know, this has been a really up and down, having problems with 2 cars, and then, you know, all of a sudden you look up and looks like Jimmy and the 2 and Kasey are going to come down to the final here, 3 abreast, and then 48 has a problem, and then those 2 restarts. You know, your heart's in your throat. Roger Penske's a good friend of mine, and we were texting each other before the restart, and so we emailing each other. But you know, you just can't count a victory here, especially when you got a green-white checker, and these guys are diving all over the place, and it's pretty exciting for the fans, but it's pretty rough if you're sitting there as a car owner, because you just know if he could get into 1 and you know, come off of 2 there, we'd be in good shape. But restart before that, I think Denny got into the back of him and tried to help him and actually made him bobble, and 2 got by us. But yeah, it's, a race like this, you don't know till the checkered flag, and then it kind of hits you when you're celebrating with all the guys out there, because to win the Brickyard's a big deal, and for those guys to be able to kiss the bricks and do all the things, great for farmers. And Chevrolet, Chevrolet was out there with us, so it's these kind of races, when it happens that close to the end, you kind of don't really get it all sinks in until the next day. So, big deal.
Go to Dustin, then we'll end with Jordan.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. A couple questions. First for Keith. 5 of the last 7 races have ended under accident for you guys. In one sense, where you're almost kind of waiting to get caught up in it just because of all the bad luck that you guys have been hit with. And secondly, for both of you, if you can talk about this, Kasey's kind of talked more about his passion. I think kind of feels like he needs to get that out a little bit more, that maybe people don't get that sense. How do you see the passion of Kasey, or how he's kind of gotten through? Because this certainly has not been an easy period for him.
Yeah. You want to go first?
Sure. Yeah, we've had a little bit of a rough stretch, so you just have to keep communicating, whether it's me and Kasey or everybody on the team, and keep everyone prepared. And that was, I don't want to keep repeating the same stuff, but that's really the thing. That's my job. My job is to lead the team. My job is to keep everybody ready and make sure they understand that at any moment, this sport's crazy, and anything can happen and put you in position to win. And there we were on the biggest stage and executed and got the job done. As far as his passion, I mean, he's really quiet, and just because you're quiet doesn't mean you don't want it. You don't need to scream and shout and stuff either. So I think channeling your emotions correctly, I was giving our spotter a little bit of advice on the last restart, like, don't yell at him. He knows what he needs to do, and we look at some stuff a lot. We know a lot about one another, and we know what motivates each other, and yelling at him, telling him, come on, let's do it, let's get a good one. Well, that's not going to work. So, I think we did all the right stuff, and he executed an incredible restart to end. So,
yeah, I think when you talk to Kasey, and I have, in the meetings, the debriefs, especially when you've had a rough road, and your confidence gets down. But he said, I know I can do it. I just, it just doesn't. Harder I try, the more, it seems like I, have this rough, bad luck. Something like this can be really good for any guy to have, the whole team to have confidence that, you're going to get wrecked or something's going to happen. I mean, it would be a tire, it would be a speeding, it would be a loose wheel, a lot of, just things that happen to everybody. I mean, I think Kyle Busch is going through it right now. I mean, he's run awful good. He's to not have won a race, and when you try really hard, I mean, all I can say about Kasey is he shows up on time, and he shows up on time with his game face on, and he puts in the effort. And sometimes it just takes a break, but he's done everything, and I know in his heart he wants to do it, and he's trying. So,
Jordan.
This question's for Rick. Jordan Bianchi, SB Nation. Rick, will Kasey Kahne be driving your number 5 car in the Cup Series next year?
We don't have, our plans are not set for the 5 car. So, you guys asked me that this morning, and I told you, that we hadn't made any plans yet. There's nothing concrete or done, and that hadn't changed. We'll see how things shake out the rest of the year. There's a lot of things involved, sponsors and a lot of things we look at. We're going to try hard, and there's no decisions made at this time.
Well, gentlemen, congratulations on your victory today, and good luck next week at Pocono.
Thank you.
Thanks.
My body was lacking fluid, and I was cramping pretty badly, but it didn't matter at that point. It was just all about trying to win at the Brickyard.
We'll go to Jeffrey, Chris, Dustin, then back to Bob.
Kasey, Jeffrey Miller, Athlon Sports. Can you talk about how you're feeling now and what it was like the last few laps and what sent you to the infield care center?
Yeah, I feel really good now. I had a went and got some IV and huge bag of fluids. So I feel great. I feel like I could probably go race right now, but I was struggling there. Before the first shred, my left leg was cramping, so I knew then I was out of fluids. And my my left calf had started long before that under braking. Then after the reds, my right leg started, and my chest and my rib and my left arm, and it just kept getting worse. But I've cramped before, so it wasn't like the end of the world or anything, but you just, like on the restart, as soon as I get to wide open throttle, my leg would cramp out. So then it was kind of like to backpedal and stuff was a bit annoying, but it was what it was. I had just sweated way too much, I guess, and I didn't drink near enough fluid. I work out hard. I'd bike, I'd train, I'd run, do a lot of different things, swim, and it didn't really help me today, I don't think.
Chris? ChrisKnightCatchfence.com. Kasey, just wondering, now that you're in the playoffs, how do you guys move forward with the 5 team with your approach? And then what did Rick Hendrick say to you in victory lane?
He was just really excited and proud of us to finally get a win. I saw I'd slap all my guys 5 on the wall, and just felt really good about that, seeing the guys up on the wall, how excited they were. And I climbed back in the car. It was a late race, so we're not going to do an interview out there. We need to get to the victory lane. And I saw him standing at the gate, and I'm like, and he was trying to come over, so then he came over, and he was just really happy that we won, and just told me great job, and asked me if I needed any fluids and things, because he could see I was hurting. But yeah, it was just neat it's always neat to win. Like, ever since I started racing for anybody, even my dad, even Steve Lewis, back when I raced the 991 car here, the midget, like, if you see the owner after you win and how happy they are and excited they are, I mean, that's a great feeling, and that's what I saw with Mr. H today, and it felt really good. I have that same feeling when Brad Sweet, Darren Pittman win sprint car races. It's like, it just feels, really good. You're proud of them, you're proud of your driver, your team, and you're proud of what you do and what you put into the sport, and as from an owner. So, like, it was neat to see him come over to the car, give me a hug. Like, I'm in the car, so he couldn't really get in there, but it worked out pretty well. Approach the playoffs. We're a little ways away from the playoffs, so we need to keep getting better. I think we need to really figure out how to qualify better, get that track position. Today, the track position was key. Once I got to the front, I felt great, and when I was in clean air in the back, I felt great too, but it was just a matter of getting to where we needed to be, and so we need to really work on that. There's a couple other things we need to work on with the car and the braking and things that I'm struggled with early on in this race. We fixed it the last half of the race, but the first half I was struggling with my braking and picking up throttle and how it would point the car the wrong direction. So we still have a lot to work on for sure, but we are heading in the right direction. We won a big race today, and I feel good about it, man. I feel like I can still race these cars. I've known that, and I've wanted to, and I have the passion to. So to be able to get a win at this track and this stage was great for our whole team today, for sure.
We'll go to Dustin, Bob, then Lee.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. You mentioned earlier, you talked about being tough to keep up with the guys who win and have a lot of success in the sense of the confidence. Can you kind of further explain what the challenge is? This is only one race, so there's still more you've got to build about how this might help, and kind of just more that idea you were talking about.
Well, I think it helps me personally. I think it helps. It has to help the driver, but from a team standpoint, when you're like working as hard as you can every single week, putting in tons of hours, you're away from your family, all this stuff's going on, you're not getting results for 2 years. Like, at some point, there's no way that me as a driver or my team guys are doing what some of the other teams are doing. I mean, it's just the way that life is. I think it's the way that we work. So I would hope that this would give us all confidence and give us momentum and push us to, yeah, we've been at the shop giving 100%, but now we really are giving 100%, and now we are really excited to go to the next race because we didn't run 15th or 18th or crash today. We actually won the Brickyard 400. So I just think that it helps me and it helps my guys, and I don't see how that can't make us better the last 17 races of the year.
How much did you need? I mean, you talk about passion, you say you put in the work and put in the time. I mean, you're doing all that, so how much do you feel like this will help you?
Maybe just be more like excited to be at the track. You know, more excited to be. I love driving the cars. I love racing. I go and race my sprint car when I have time because I enjoy that stuff. But just be a little more happy in doing it. You know, like there's a lot of reasons to be happy, and after a win like this, you know, hopefully that gets all of us just pointed in the right direction a little bit better, working for each other a little bit more, and having faith in each other. You know, I think all those things help, and there has to be things that you lack after a couple years of not winning races. You know, and especially when you have great, you know, Jimmy Johnson, the guy still wins. He wins all the time. Like, he's unbelievable. So to have a teammate like that, and then we're not performing as well as we need to or want to, it beats on you a little bit. So this has to help.
Kind of along those lines, Rick said that the plans aren't set for the 5-car for next year. I mean, do you think after this win, wow, this could help me stay at Hendrick Motorsports, or do you just perform the best you can perform and wherever chips kind of fall where they may?
Yeah, I mean, I think this just shows that I still want to win races. This shows that I gave it all that I can to get a win, you know, and shows that I'm passionate about driving stock cars and that I can still win races too. So I have a deal through 2018 with Hendrick Motorsports, and hear a lot of things, but I don't know. Tough to say exactly what's going to happen because I don't know at this point in time. But I know that me and Mr. H will figure it out. But I think this just shows that I want to do it and that I still have the drive and passion to do it, and I enjoy it. So I'm gonna keep trying hard. I know that.
We'll go to Lee and we'll finish with Caleb.
LeeSpencerMotorsport.com. Congratulations, first of all.
Thanks.
What were you thinking when Jimmy took you guys 3 wide on the backstretch?
Well, Jimmy didn't have any options to. I mean, he had the run. Me and Brad were both. Brad was probably a little on the tight side being up there, so trying to finish the throttle on the tight side. I was loose. I was sideways under Brad and like slid all the way to his door off turn 2. And Jimmy was coming from behind, had a little gap getting into the corner, and was able to get the run. So his only option was to put us 3 wide. But we all had about the same amount of speed down the whole straightaway. So it was, and nobody lifted getting into turn 3. So it was, I'm surprised that all of us, or that 2 of us even came out of that. Like, I could have saw all 3 of us being in the wall at that point. But, you know, we both came out of it. I hate that Jimmy got in that wreck. He was sideways really early. And I'd have to watch it again to see it really well. But I felt like he was sideways early coming my direction pretty quickly. And I think I bounced off the 2 also. So it was wild. There was no other options. It was 3 wide going into turn 3, and that's the way it was going to be.
And I talked to Ricky Craven a while back about being that car at Hendrick Motorsports. You're not the 24. You're not the 48. You're that car. It might be Papa Joe's car. It might be the 25 car, but you're that car. And he says everybody wants to tell you what you need to do to improve your job, but you kind of have to find that within to make that happen. Who have you relied on during this 3-year drought when you know you have the talent, you know you have the equipment, but the numbers just aren't there? Who do you lean on to get through those tough times?
That's tough. I mean, that's actually a really tough question because I don't really lean on a lot. You know, I think the best thing for me is I get a call from Tanner on FaceTime after a race, and I'm instantly happy for my son. So, like, that's who I got to, like, stay happy and grounded in my life. But as far as the team stuff goes, I just keep trying hard. I keep working hard, and I keep wanting it. You know, and it just doesn't seem to happen all the time. So I don't know. We haven't. Just kind of feel like you're out on your own little deal a lot of the times, your own little island, and just trying to do the best that you can. And things don't work out for us too often. So it was great to win today. It was great to get up front and be able to, you know, close it, get in front of the 2, win the race at the Brickyard in Indianapolis. I mean, it is unbelievable. But yeah, it's really, I don't know. I didn't really have anybody, to tell you the truth. I just feel like I kind of enjoy life a lot because of my son, and just try to show up at the track and do the best that I possibly can and put the work in during the week. But that doesn't mean you're going to run well. Everybody's putting the work in. The competition's so tight, so close. You know, you need that little bit of extra all the time, and hopefully this win will give us some of that because we definitely haven't had it.
Caleb Whistler, Speedway Digest. You've been running up front, but bad luck seems to plague you every race. How does it feel to finally be able to burst through that barrier of bad luck to get the victory here at the Brickyard?
It feels good because I think today was actually the strategy and the way that the caution came at that exact time was complete luck. So the luck was on my side more than anyone else's today, and for us to, you know, finish it off and get the win on that type of a, I don't know if I've ever won a race before, like because of luck like that, to get to the front, you know, like we did. So I think the strategy, the caution, like the luck was on the 5-car side today, and I was able to pull it off. So yeah, it feels pretty good.
Well, Kasey, congratulations again on the win. Good luck next week at another track where you've made some good luck. Pocono.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks a lot.